We've talked about this before many times. You thought you had the record after about 3 seconds of someone reminding you of another song. 1 second, my friend.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Stiff
the
competition.
drums at the start, just straight away, within 1 second, I thought 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover by Paul Simon. Clearly not. So get that one out of the way. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles, Governor, hardest game in the book. My name's John. His name is Andy. You let the people see just who you want to be, and every night you shine just like a superstar. That's how life is played at 10-cent masquerade. You dress, you walk, you talk. You're who they think you are. More on that later. But first, your tracks to listen to, selected by Andy. Andy, what have you got for us today?
Well, I'd like to bring a band to the channel that we've not covered before, and they are fairly new band. They are called Blackberry Crush, not to be confused for Blackberry Smoke. I had you listen to a few weeks ago. It's an entirely different Blackberry variety. But it is a track called Ghost by Blackberry Crush specifically that I'd like you to check out. So, before you go off and do that, I assume you're flying blind here, right?
Yeah, not heard of them, no.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, to be honest, I hadn't heard of him until a few months ago anyway myself. So please go off, give Blackberry Crush a listen, this track Ghost, and I'll be interested to hear what you have to say.
Will do. So I'll start, and I'm going to take that back because it's relatively short. The first hit, just half a second, just made me think of 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover by Paul Simon. Yeah, that was soon gone. So yeah, it's really the drum is almost this sort of militaristic, but in a kind of like boys' brigade sort of way, you know. And then there's two-note motif from the guitar. That's all. Again, that could be sort of like marching or goose stepping, but it's not, because the bass underneath it all is this sort of plodding, and then that four-note dissension is really nice, and it gives it mood. It gives it an air of sort of an apologetic tone. Yeah, there's something like that. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it's nice. I really like it. Right, let us start it over with Paul Simon and go from there. Okay, so we get the gist. not everything is rosy in the garden. She thought she got it taped, but obviously not. Bit of a character flaw from the subject of this. Um, Her voice is really nice. It has that sort of airy quality. It feels familiar, like somebody else, but no one I can pin down immediately. Um, and that two-note motif at the start has now sort of changed in this verse bit, and it's bouncier, and the first bit's chops off, so which gives it. It almost sounds like it could be like a electric organ or a keyboard. It might still be a guitar with some sort of weird effect. But yeah, that's really interesting as well. Okay.
Turns out this whole time you're a ghost, run and hide when you know that I needed you most. Doesn't feel right to feel this wrong. Why can't I put it in this goddamn song? And all the mornings when the sun peeks through, it's when I realized you're not you. Turns out this whole time you're a ghost, run and hide when you know that I needed you most. And you thought that you're invisible. When I saw you, you're not convincible.
Well, I was going to say that sort of was and the song's too short, but it's over 4 minutes. So I don't know. You got verse, chorus, head down the strum, and then a little bit at the end. So there wasn't really any fat on it either. Yeah, but it seemed to whiz by. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was quite simple, really, the premise to it, but really effective. I liked that after the second chorus, you had a little bit of a drum fill, and then just went into quite an old-fashioned sort of heads down and go for it sort of strumming. So yeah, it sounded great. Lots of guitar bits to it, which were just added, particularly the second chorus. There was loads more. I felt, perhaps I just noticed it the second time, but it's had this mishmash of dreamy pop, bit of shoegaze, bit of other stuff as well. So yeah, all in all, really nice. So let's go back and find out some more by chopping it up with Andy.
Ooh, like a ghostly apparition, you are back from having listened to this song by Blackberry Crush. What did you make of it, John?
Yeah, more like Rent a Ghost. So it opens with this steady beat and this two-tone melody. And actually, I stopped and rewound it, but the drums for the, and we've talked about this before many times. You thought you had the record after about 3 seconds of a song reminding you of another song. 1 second, my friend.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Stiff
the
competition.
drums at the start, just straight away, within 1 second, I thought 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover by Paul Simon. Clearly not. So get that one out of the way. Rewind, begin again. So, yeah,
You know what, John? What I thought was "Float On" by Modest Mouse.
really,
Was the very yeah. For some reason, I thought that for the first split second when I heard this song for the first time, which is odd. But yeah, sorry. Go on.
fair enough. Um, Underneath this, the bass goes a wandering, um, and it does this thing where it has these the final run, part of its run is these four descending notes of the phrase, and it gives an almost it gives all the tone and mood to the whole thing because otherwise it's quite militaristic in this sort of
Yeah.
like um but the drumming is that sort of military sound, but like from like kids, like a boys brigade or something like that, rather than full-blown war machine. I mean the two-tone melody again is it could always be goose stepping away. So then you have the bass which gives all the mood and character to it, and again it feels almost apologetic in its tone, which is interesting. And then we get some additional mood with these initial chimes from this guitar, these sort of like feathers of notes, which then quickly escalate into full body sort of cries of echoing chords. Um, in comes the female voice, and to be honest, I wasn't expecting that. From the start, I was more likely to be some fluffy-haired adenoid voice carrying the weight of the world and the weight of their granddad copes, but no. Um, So she sings, I thought maybe you could be the one. Open up the blinds and let in the sun. Um, the bass part going down the stairs, as it were, at the end of the line, is really strong in this section. You know, it dominates it really, that sort of motif. And after listening to it for a little while, that's what you're waiting for is those four notes going down the stairs into the cellar.
Mhm.
Um, the singer has a decent voice. There's a slight airiness to it, and it's reminiscent of someone who is yet to be recalled from my memory banks. It may be there's just a she sounds like others. You know, there's a few that sound like that, so I can't pinpoint it. But she definitely it's a pleasant voice, which is not unfamiliar. Um, she continues to paint a picture where everything is not rosy in the garden. She's dissatisfied, and there's I wouldn't say a character assassination of the subject, but you know, he's he's getting a bit of the hair dry and treatment in the most pleasant of ways. So we flit into a chorus which has big chords, musically, not trouser wear, and we have this kind of the drumming feels a lot more militaristic here as well. It's really sort of pronounced. Um, and she says, "It turns out this whole time you're a ghost." It's running high when I needed you most, I think. Something like that anyway, but basically unreliable shit is what they are. And it's probably eyeing the kitchen door as she's saying this, thinking about he could be out playing killer darts with his mates right now. As it plays out, there is some lovely additional decorative or emotive notes squealing out of the guitar here, which is really nice. It just layers a bit more texture over the top. We go back into the next verse, um, and there's a nice development which I did actually kind of notice in the first verse, but I didn't mention. But I really noticed it more. So the second verse, that two note motif at the very start, the simple, becomes um, the same bass but done differently. So the first note is kind of chopped, and then the second note sort of feels like it's pulling it along. So it has this weird effect, and it's also got a bounciness to it. So it might be being done by a keyboard. I'm thinking like an electronic organ type sound, or it might be a guitar with some sort of effect. Who the hell bloody knows? But yeah, but it gives you this bounciness to it underneath, which is really nice. Um, And in fact, the whole thing then, hearing it for the second verse, the two note sort of hop with the four note dissension kind of feels familiar as well. But again, nothing I can put my finger on. Second chorus comes up, and again, it seems to have more in it. Whether I'm noticing it more as I become, accustomed, or whether there is more. But yeah, there seems to be more screech and wail to the guitar content.
Mm.
Um, the drum fill exiting the chorus indicates we're going into a bit of what I would call good old-fashioned heads down and strum musical break, which all my favorite bands did in the 90s. There'd just be a bit with stuff. Um, and he then, towards the end of this section, which is really, it's very simple. It's just a sound of people hitting the guitar strings very hard and very quickly, and as opposed to doing note noodling in a solo. And I've always enjoyed this sort of passage. Um, and there's some added almost. Well, it came to me as I was listening to this. And I don't know how correct this is, but ethereal vocals that kind of had a Mazzy Star kind of effect to me,
Mm.
but ghostly. Um, but ethereal's the word, definitely. As we come out of this, it seems like the spirits or ghosts have been materialized into sort of synthetic, I think, versions of that tape winding sound, um, rather than their cousin, the vinyl scratch. It's definitely this zip, 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 which is really odd. I don't know why they did that. I know it sounds all right, but it's just really odd. And then the whole song just dissipates into nothingness as well, like Scotch mist. And a feeling I got was all too soon. And then I looked at the timestamp and it like 4:19 or something, I think it was. And looking back, verse, chorus, head down strum, come in and out. So there's not really any meat on it. Very
Mm.
simple, structured song, but it just felt too short.
Mm.
It raced by, really did. Um, so yeah, I really enjoyed this. I like the sound of this. It was an amalgamation of that sort of indie music from the early 90s with a bit of shoegaze and a bit of, sort of ethereal stuff as well, like the dream poppy over the top combined, which though to be fair, that they are cousins anyway. They
Yeah.
came out of each other anyway. So yeah. It's a nice overall sound. For a new band, it sounds promising.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And this is their first song released. It was a
Right.
single that came out before the, EP that it featured on. So, um, they've grown a bit. I still hold this song in high regard out of all the ones that I've heard from them because there's something about, I don't know, the being able to stay basic while injecting shoegaze and some of these other genres that usually beg for longer run times and more experimentation. To be able to like marry those two things and pull it off, I think is kind of cool. And this song has that attribute to it. So I really enjoy this track, and I'm glad that on just this one listen, you've seen some signs of like potential in this band based off this one track. So thanks for giving it a go, John. I appreciate it, man. Blackberry Crush. They are a post shoegaze slash art grunge band heralding from the mountains of northern Wyoming, though they have relocated to the still mountainous Denver, Colorado. So they're based out of Denver now, formed in Wyoming. But man, I can't imagine what it's like trying to form a group in northern Wyoming. Like it's not a very populous area. Go on.
Yeah, forgive my ignorance because the only thing I know about Wyoming is blokes on horses.
Yeah.
I didn't, what is the mountain range something that we would have heard of as a, you know,
Well, the Rockies run that
oh, right.
span that
So,
whole area. So they
oh,
go
it's a,
up and
right.
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, obviously everyone associates it with Colorado,
Yeah.
but all throughout there. And it's just a mountainous area anyway, in general, just the sort of Wild West. You've got the Dakotas and Deadwood, as you're familiar with from the HBO series, was sort of set in that region as well. Once you get west of Minnesota, things become way more, a higher elk to human population ratio is what you're going to encounter until you reach,
Gotcha.
the Pacific Northwest, basically. So yeah, 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 there you go. I can't imagine what it's like to try to form a band there, but I'm glad these guys somehow pulled it off. Initially starting as a duo in 2021 and releasing their debut EP entitled Drawing Board in 2023, the group has now expanded to a four-piece outfit consisting of the original duo, Piper Tiffany and Charlie Laxagu, both contributing guitar and vocals, and the two newest members, Gigi Tyler on bass and Nick Shell on drums. Blackberry Crush's music has been described as possessing antithetical attributes, loud yet gentle, and abrasive yet comforting. In fact, Gracie Verbon would sum up this interesting dynamic in an article for Medium, noting, "What I particularly love about their music is its duality. You can either zone out and let the dreamlike quality of their songs wash over you, or dissect the intricate layers of sounds and rhythm. It's rare to find a band that caters to both ends of the listening spectrum so effortlessly," which is interesting because in a weird way, you kind of described your whole listening experiences as, at first you were focused on this, but the next time it came around, you dug deeper into the intricacies of the layering of the music and things like that. So I think that that's kind of how they construct their music. The band has released a handful of singles: Ghost, Consequence of Someone Stroke Fear, Goodbye, and Without You, as well as two EPs, 2023's Drawing Board and 2025's My Own Backyard. So, as just mentioned, the track Ghost was released as the band's first single in 2022, but also appeared on the band's debut EP, the aforementioned Drawing Board, the following year. In another article from Medium, writer Dean Aaron Cluley writes of the band, "Blackberry Crush captures an ethereal indie rock sound by paying homage to 90s alternative rock scenes such as shoegaze and grunge music. Heavy and hazy production effects of the band, like Black Gaze Scene's Deaf Heaven and the shoegaze scene's My Bloody Valentine, are echoed in Blackberry Crush's music. Vocals seem to float and harmonize with the guitars, creating quite a dreamy experience similar to those classic indie groups." So, not a lot out there on this group. They've only been around a short period of time, so that's about as much as I could cultivate through my digging of the internet. And in fact, I couldn't even cultivate the lyrics. I had to sort of listen and transpose them onto this Word document here. So I thought I got them right. This was an easier go at it than I've had in the past with some of the songs I've had to, sort of interpret the lyrics of. But what I was able to extrapolate is as follows. "And I thought, baby, you could be the one. Open up the blinds and let in the sun. I'm tired of this back and forth, and I don't know what I put up with you for. Turns out this whole time you're a ghost. Run and hide when you know that I needed you most. Doesn't feel right to feel this wrong. Why can't I put it in this goddamn song? And all the mornings when the sun peeks through, it's when I realize you are not you. Turns out this whole time you're a ghost. Run and hide when you know that I needed you most. When you thought that you were invisible is when I saw you were not convincible." In this instrumental break. And then after that, the only roadblock I had was this faded, buried in the mix, sort of like faint vocal work that was going on there. I wasn't going to try to bullshit what I thought was going on. I couldn't pick it up, but there's something there, and I think it's coming from her male counterpart, if I'm not mistaken. But it's interesting, and I would like to get to the bottom of it. But I mean, this band's only been around for so long, so no one's posted the lyrics yet. So I will be waiting with bated breath to see what the sort of period on the end of this musical sentence was from a lyric standpoint. But yeah, there you have it, John. This is Blackberry Crush and their track Ghost. I'll probably bring some stuff off of My Own Backyard, which was their 2025, their most recent release. I think it's 5 or 6 tracks on that, and a couple really good ones. So yeah, we'll check out more from them in the future, but I really appreciate you giving them a go in the meantime.
Yeah, good to hear new stuff.
Excellent, excellent. Well, guys out there in the listening audience, please let us know your thoughts on this band, this track. I don't know if anyone out there has heard of them, but if there's suggestions by them you want to shout out, feel free to. If there's any just other new music, maybe akin to this or worth checking out, please feel free to shout out those down in the comments field below. John and I both, if it's good stuff, I know it's harder to come, and it's weird music now. You know what I mean? If you know where to go and how to find it, you can and will, but it doesn't come to you like it used to. So you really got to, cast your lines in several different spots. But if you guys have come across some stuff, I know John and I have in the past, and you guys have offered up some interesting stuff that's been new to us as well. So let's keep that alive. Also, please like, share, and/or subscribe if you haven't done any or all of those things. It goes a long way to help us here at the channel, and we really do appreciate it. So thank you so much for that. And hopefully, John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. See you later, guys.